feel like a lot of self-storage investors are syndicators, and they're out there, I call it adding it to the beast, right? And they don't focus on operations.
Right.
And business is a very, commercial real estate is a business first, asset, and you have to be a good operator or you will go belly up.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of that. So maybe I'm prefacing this where I want to be a good, responsible operator and I want to own the majority of it so that I don't have to be at the beck and call of possibly others, that don't understand the operation side.
Hey everyone, it's the Profit First RIA podcast. Host David Richter here and have Bree Hartman. I'm excited about this because I feel like so many people out there, when I go to these events and listen to people in the exit strategies, they're always asking about self-storage. Like, when should I get into this? Or what should I do? How do I get started? So Bree is an expert. She actually has self-storage school, which is amazing. So Bree, thanks for being on the show today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here and then to talk with you about Profit First.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get into your background a little bit, but I don't want I want to go into directly like how long have you been doing self-storage and when did you find self-storage on your journey?
Amazing. Yep. So we'll get right into it. So I actually jumped into storage about 5 years ago. So very much like kind of near in that COVID period.
Yep.
And I actually was a gym owner. So I owned a gym and did personal training. And
Nice.
when I got pregnant, I was like, I had one accidental rental, which we laugh about, and I painted every single wall. And it kind of was like, it sat back and I'm like, you know what? I'd have to own 20 homes in order to hit my like freedom number. And I
Yeah.
knew that my gym business wasn't like the end goal. And
Yeah.
so while I painted every room pregnant, I actually like listened to a podcast and it said no toilets, no tenants, no employees, like less issues. And I was like, oh my God, pick me, like right here. Like I want that.
Yeah.
And so I woke up at 3 a.m., bought a conference ticket to go to self storage. And it was in Vegas. Didn't even know anything about self storage. And that really just started just opening up this like vision of, can I go bigger? Right. Like I'm not this
Yeah.
young, smart person, all these 22-year-olds that know all this information now. Like I'm in my mid 30s. I want to actually reverse engineer my life. And how can I do this with this non sexy business, which is self storage?
Ah, well, that's pretty cool because, yeah, I feel like I went down the same road only with finances. And it's like making sure that people know where their money's going. And it sounds like you've found something where it helped you to get out of the rat race that you were in with sounds like the gym business wasn't the end all be all, and the accidental rental that you're painting as you're pregnant as well, too. And sounds like you hit that critical juncture and you were open to it as well, too. And then
Yeah.
open to listening to something else. And so, okay. So then you get into self storage. Like, how does that go at the beginning? Do you find one and you're like, yes, home run, or is it like ups and downs? You're not getting one. Like, what was the journey of actually building a portfolio of self storage
Oh my
facilities?
gosh. Yeah, so well, that's like the hidden big question, right? So
Right.
I feel like when you get in, it was like 2020, right? COVID. And there wasn't a lot of resources on self-storage. And so it really like I had to dive deep and look, and I went to YouTube University, I joined a group, and I just kept on, beating my head against the wall. So it actually took me like 11 to 12 months to find my first storage deal when if I did it all over again, that's why we created storage school, was it could be less than 4 to 6. And so, the joke in the family was like, is the baby gonna come first or is the self-storage facility gonna come first?
Nice.
Because, like Gary Keller, he wrote an amazing book, The One Thing, and it's like, if you pick one thing and you focus in on it and put like a blinder on for shiny objects, like you can go and do it. And I think I was naive, which is beautiful, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I really dove head first and, understanding like the first thing concepts that I kind of teach is like, you have to learn how to find good deals and then you have to learn how to analyze it, right? To know yes, no, and not waste your time. And then the third thing is you have to put in offers, right? You actually have to put in offers or you'll never buy your first storage facility. So I spent like 6, 8 months kind of going in circles, doing really good at the first two and then
Yeah.
never putting in offers. So I know to like, complete your whole, question, it's really about, if it came down to, it's like, if you could do one thing over again, it's finding deals. Like if you get really good at a superpower and you're good at going out there and talking to off market, self-storage owners, which are baby boomers who want to retire right now. Like we have a huge, huge like crisis where people just want to retire and go do other things and they own their facility outright. you have the power, right? So if you bring an opportunity with that power of a self-storage deal to someone else, they can give you the money and you can partner together and you now have a little bit of equity carved off, right? And so I found that out the hard way because no one wanted to talk to me. Like everyone, I'd call brokers and they're like, who's this person talking? And so until I started finding deals and bringing value, right, to others,
Hmm.
that was really something that woke me up. And I'm like, okay, like let me double down, right, to do this, to buy my first deal, and then the second, and then third.
Awesome. So then how many have you acquired, or like what do you have today, just so people can know like that journey in its completion? Well, not completion, you're still on the journey, but like where are you at today?
Yeah. So I own just myself, I own 4 storage facilities, so over 100,000 square feet. And I always say, and then I own others JV with partnerships, right? And it's less about the amount. I think people know about this right now. Like my goal is to own like I buy 2 to 3 good storage deals every year, right? For the
Yeah.
next like 8, 10 years, and I'm set. The goal is to own, 15 to 20, and that's it. I don't need
Yeah.
to be in this crazy syndication because I own the majority of these deals right now. And so that's been really nice because I like buying ones that are going to be cash flowing. And so you buy them, like I'll give you an example. This is a smaller one, just it's 10,500 square feet, so 83 units. We bought it with seller financing for $500,000 with $75,000 down at a 5.5% interest rate, right? 25-year AM, 7-year balloon. And that facility purely just cash flows like after you've got your, your business expenses and your debt, just $3,000 to $4,000 a month, right? So, and then with that, our goal is to sell it with a 3-year plan within 1 to 1.1 million at a 7.5 cap. And so someone might be like, well, 4,000 doesn't sound amazing, right? But $400 was what I was getting with one accidental rental, right? And
Yeah.
so that's a 10x, right? In this facility I run remotely. It's in Louisiana. I live in California. It's all the way across the US. Never thought I'd buy something in Louisiana, but there's sweet little markets with data centers and oil and gas over there that people aren't really looking at for great prices. And you can, drive revenue and increase force appreciation because it's commercial real estate. And you can do it, faster than you can in residential. So a lot of people don't realize that is that residential, like I buy a house, right? And I put a beautiful marble kitchen. My house is only going to appreciate based on the comps in that neighborhood.
Hmm.
Versus in commercial, right? I can buy it with value add, no website, and very little marketing. And I can create systems and I can force that appreciation from $500,000 to 1.1 million. And that's because I added good operation on top of it. And you talk a lot about how do you drive revenue and how do you decrease expenses and keep more profit first, like
Yeah.
driving revenue. And it's so true. Like any business, it doesn't matter like what business you're in, commercial real estate or others, you always have to think about those two concepts that you talk about.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like you're doing less deals, but able to keep more of it. Would you say that? Because I heard you say, like, I only want to buy 2 or 3 storage facilities. And I want to just, I guess for myself and for anyone listening, is that a lot or a little? Like, or does it matter? It's like, is that what works for you? Because like 2 to 3 to me sounds like that sounds doable. Like 2 to 3
Yeah.
to be able to go out there and spend your time and focus and do all the and put offers in. I just want it from your perspective.
Yeah, no, and I love it. I guess maybe that I live in this world of syndication,
Yeah.
where I feel like a lot of self storage investors are syndicators and they're out there, I call it adding it to the beast, right? And they don't focus on operations.
Right.
And business is a very, commercial real estate is a business first, asset. And you have to be a good operator or you will go belly up.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of that. So maybe I'm prefacing this where I want to be a good, responsible operator and I want to own the majority of it so that I don't have to be at the beck and call of possibly others, that don't understand the operation side. So yes, to answer your question, like, for me, I always like to buy like 1 to 3. And I focus on buying good asset classes that cash flow day one, that have real value, that hasn't been extracted in good markets where there's not a high crime rate, right? People don't break in. And so you need to find these good, facilities that then cash flow versus the amount. People get so stuck in how many doors and units and square feet and all these things. And I'm like, well, no, tell me the bottom line. Like, does it cash flow? Right.
Mm.
are you making money?
Yeah.
And then how much of an equity partner are you in that deal? Like this all matters. And I think there's a lot of fluff in this new world of, social media where it's like, well, tell me the real goods. Like, don't give me the fluff. Like, tell me the real stats, right?
Yeah.
Because I always say there's a second rule in business, but you don't want me to tell you that right now.
Nice.
The second rule of business, I'll let you know. So first rule in business, and David has this right, is like revenue in first position, right? Profit first. And then the second rule in business, I hope everyone laughs, is everyone's full of poop. It's just
Nice.
I have a
Very good.
4-year old, and you
Yep.
have to clarify with facts. Everyone's full of poop. So if you guys
Yeah.
remember nothing, two amazing rules of business, and you're gonna do great.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. So then when this is so good. So if everyone is out there and they're full of poop, in your opinion, when should someone look into self-storage? Like what's the bottom line there? Like what if someone has a business already and they're doing fix and flips or they're in residential? When's a good time to add commercial or like, is it should they keep their eye on the ball or should they add something like this? I'd like your no BS bottom line. Like for someone I guess that's looking to potentially add this as an exit strategy.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people they wait on the sidelines and they're like, I have to own like 20 doors and I have to be in multifamily.
Yeah.
And they make, the first step, people go jump into multifamily because they're like, oh, it's very similar. I did one accidental rental and I jumped right into self-storage because I was
Yeah.
like, I want to reverse engineer my life where I have time freedom with my daughter and I can manage all my stores and my facilities remotely. And I have I have a 1099 contractor, boots on the ground versus an employee. And so that is very doable with self storage. So I always say the two myths is you don't have to have a lot of money to get into self storage. It's very true. And you have to go out there and just take a lot of relentless action, right?
Yeah.
And it's not as hard as everyone thinks because self storage is a very sticky asset class. And so, like, 1 in 8 people in like society use self storage. And so I'm just fascinated. David, have you ever used storage in your life?
Yes,
Like
I have used it yes, I have.
as when? I want to hear it. Just tell us like,
So when I moved from Indiana to Virginia and we downgraded basically because we weren't sure if we wanted to own in Virginia or rent. So we had a storage, we bought storage for actually 2 years while we were there because we were like in a transition period of life.
I love it. And I was like, yes. So they say like people use storage in an up market and a down market, and they're only going to continue, right? Like Amazon came 3 times yesterday to my house
Yeah.
because I bought containers for more containers, right? And
Yeah.
we Americans, like we just like stuff. Like we are a consumer, public society, and so like with that, tenants become very sticky. So like on average in our facilities, tenants stay about 3 years. So think about 3
Awesome.
years and it's a subscription based business. So
Yeah.
say we have 83 units, one facility, we have 400 units. And so if they're paying $110 for a drive up, right? Every single month on a subscription based business, that adds up to a lot of cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And the retention time of that tenant. And so we've had, just to give you a perspective, we had a tenant stay for 15 years. And
Oof.
so $15,000 or something crazy like that,
Yeah.
that he spent on probably junk, right? People
Right.
are very emotionally connected to things. But to like answer your question is people use storage like in 4 ways. They call it the 4 Ds, which is like death, divorce,
Yeah.
downsizing, and then decluttering. And there's many other ways people use it, but in a community, normally people find storage facilities within a 5 mile radius or a 10 mile radius of their home, right? And it's either convenience or price. That kind of sets the consumer, based on how they want to use storage in that area. So it's very interesting because it's very sticky, right? Like it's hard, like for you, if you're a dad or a mom or really hard business owner to go move your stuff, right, from one location down the street if I raise prices by $5. And so what's beautiful that people don't think about in storage is that I have a month to month lease, right?
Yeah.
And every single month I have the opportunity to raise prices. And that could be based on, market supply and demand. It could be based on, ins and outs. It could be based on, hey, I just want to increase rates because we call it a 7-11. So every 7 and 11 months, we increase rates by 6%. And that's a lot of money if you talk about it as 12% increase over that year. And so it's a very interesting. So you're constantly driving, right? Revenue. You're constantly forcing appreciation so that you can buy it, right, for 1 million and then sell it for 2.1 in the future. 3 to 5 years is normally what we call a flip in self storage is 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, but you get the point. Like someone's not going to move out and go grab their U-Haul or go borrow a truck on a Saturday to go
Right.
move out by raise prices for $5. But that's
Yeah.
amazing. So you know what I mean? That's like a big concept that it becomes a very simple business
Yeah.
model that you can just run over and over again.
All right, I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike Michalowicz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money, you pay yourself consistently, and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode. Awesome. Okay. Now I like that. Now you said something that really caught my attention. You reverse engineered your life, and then self storage was a big part of this. And my first question around this is what made you realize you wanted to reverse engineer your life and, that you wanted this versus what most people do? I just need to go get more or do more, and then eventually I'll have the time. It sounds like you were intentional doing it the other way around.
Yes, but that's because I built probably one business wrong, and then you know how you've had 9 lives? You just feel
Yeah.
like you've had 9 lives, and
Yeah.
I'm 37, so I still like I'm gonna be in storage a very long time, and I have a great opportunity. But I think it's important that people take the time to intentionally sit back and be like, "What do I really want in my life? Like, what's my big why
Yeah.
behind going into an asset class?" Right? And my big why wasn't to, I don't know, how do I say this? Own a ton of items and be incredibly crazy wealthy.
Yeah.
I wanted to own a few facilities and I want to remotely manage and make it very simple. I don't want
Yeah.
urgency in my life. Like the two things that I see as success is I get to spend really, or like I get to have like relaxed mornings with my daughter that's 4 years old. And I get to drop her off at daycare like at 10 and I have no urgency. So I can go home and it's not because it's their home, right? It's if they can't get into the facility because the gate went down, they're going to be okay for 48 hours, like worst case scenario, right? But if it's their
Yeah.
home, they got to get in there at, 2 a.m. if the something leaks. And so those were the two measures that I reversed engineered was what asset class fits that. And then where is one that has a really low expense profile? And that is storage. And so I want you to guess, what do you think our expense profile for just business expenses, no debt in self-storage?
Oh, I
Just
don't
give me a
know.
random. Yeah. Give me a
Yeah.
percentage. Just play with me.
Oh man. 20%? I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay. No, this is good. So ours is actually 35 to 40%, depending on how big it is. In
Okay.
multifamily, it's about 55% expense profile. And then in hotels, and glamping, it's about 68. And so I joke because it's called a margin of error, right?
Yeah.
So like I could be really stupid, right? Or just not a good business owner. And I have a little bit of margin of error to mess up if I'm brand new, right? And still feel like I can take a good margin home with me.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah,
I like
that
I
was
like how
my
you figured that out. It's like what is going to bring me a sense of non-urgency and then what's going to have a low expense profile because that lowers essentially your risk where
yep,
if something doesn't go right or your
yep,
occupancy and not a great market, like if it's going down, then you have more wiggle room at that 35% profile versus someone who's at the 55 to 80% or what, like all that
e
range that you gave there.
exactly.
Ah, man. So
Yeah,
this is where, if you're listening to this, you need to go and rewind that because that was really, really good because of what she set it up. Because she's setting this up like the profit first life, like it's the whole concept of putting first things first. In a for-profit business, your profit should come first, making sure you're protecting that. And it sounds like you're doing that with your life. You know what you want. You want something that was remote, simple. There was no urgency. You have relaxed mornings. You spend time, quality time with your daughter. And it's like you found that self-storage ticked all the boxes that you wanted out of life, which I think a lot of people do that backwards. It's like, how can I do the thing that I'm good at? And then I can see what boxes I can tick after I have enough money. And it sounds like you did that backwards. But you also mentioned that you had a business at first and you did it the not so great way. So was that because were you kind of in a rat race there, or like was there a lot of urgency and then this had you sit down and be like, hey, I know what I want now? Like, I just wondered, what really was the catalyst as well too?
Yeah, yeah. I worked for the state of California as an environmental scientist for Fish and Wildlife for 8 years. So I was
Huh.
the cubicle
Yeah.
lifestyle, right? And
Yeah.
I did hunting permits, which is kind of crazy. And now I just do self-storage stuff now, but
Yeah.
same but different. And then I opened up a gym for 5 years, and I was the solopreneur. And
Okay.
there's
So
a
it's
lot of
hustle,
leverage.
hustle.
It's hustle. I mean, think about it, real estate agents too.
Yeah.
You are planning around everyone else's time, which is a
Yeah.
normal 9 to 5. And I laugh because everyone wants to go to their hair appointment, but no one wants to go to their personal trainer or gym appointment because they're
Right.
going to be sore, right? And
Yeah.
so it was just a very interesting, there's a lot of emotions and things that come into play. And contractors, a big thing if you're thinking about owning business, you guys right now is employees, right? Like keeping good employees, retention. When I thought about business, it was the hardest thing to keep,
Yeah.
like herding cats, to keep trainers in the door and doing the right
Yeah.
thing and customer service first. And I just saw my profit really dwindle and I couldn't
Mm.
scale. And so it really hit me. And I think I was pregnant. You have all the hormones, and you either you feel one moment you're on top of the world, and the other moment you're dying, right? So I was like, I somehow, had that like, awakening,
Yep.
moment of like, you know what, this person did self storage and I think I can do it too. Right. And I just went for it. And so when I say I did it wrong and I had a lot of pain for 5 years, I did everything myself. And now, I do want to show your listeners like how easy and seamless, if you put a good system in place, just like profit first, you
Yeah.
can replicate that with storage. Is that okay if I go into it really quickly? Like 2 minutes
Yeah.
on like what the operation system looks like.
That is
Uh,
totally fine. I did have a
okay.
question though. Like I have a
Okay.
burning
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So do you
No,
mind
I
if I
love it.
just interrupt you there?
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
was I'm so curious. Was your passion at the time that you started the gym self motivation, the self drive, like the personal, you wanted to be a personal trainer? Like, was that a big decision for you to like, it sounds like you stepped out in faith in yourself and like did that. Was that a passion of yours to start
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and I think that is why, like, I think being a coach, like, I love seeing people have success
Yeah.
and like come full circle. And I love movement. I was a D1 water polo athlete I went to college on a scholarship. So I thought, I was like, if I create my passion, like the people tell you,
Yeah.
if you're passionate about something, you'll never work a day in your life. Like that's my dad. I love there is a great saying to this, yes. And then at the same time, sometimes your passion doesn't need to be the business that you're in. And I learned that the hard way. Like my passion was fitness and movement and
Yeah.
excitement. And it really quickly dwindled. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I tried to intersect it with a business that actually was profitable. And like you don't see very many, sorry, older trainer gym owners, right? You just
Sure.
don't like,
Yeah.
they fall off because it's a burnout business,
Yeah.
unless you're Alex Hormozy who's smart and scales it, right? And
Right.
so I had a really hard time thinking in how am I going to scale this when I'm 45, 55, and 60? And if I think the big question that this week woke me up was, if I didn't do anything now, would I be happy with the life I had at like 10 years from now?
Yeah.
And that question like made my like mouth drop because I was like, no, like I'm actually getting burnt out and
Yeah.
I'm not having fun at year 5.
Asking
But
yourself the real questions.
yeah, and that's the real question. Like if nothing changed today, would you be happy at where you're at? And I know it's like soul crazy sucking. And it's something that I have to ask myself when we create business. It's like how intentional, like every quarter I'm asking that, even in how I'm and designing my business now, is
Yeah.
like, is this really aligned, or am I going through the monetary goal, or am I going through the motions of what society wants me to go through? And then how can I do it more aligned? And I feel like
That's
that
why
kind of is me.
I wanted to ask you that question because I heard the line through everything that you're saying where it's like you started this passion business, but it quickly became a burnout. But then you found your real passion was the things like coaching and your daughter and like the freedom, like the non-urgency, the relaxation, like that's your real passion. And then you built a business around it. Cause I also heard you say, like, I found self-storage and if they're doing it, I can do it. Like I'm gonna go out there
Yeah.
and try it and at least go out there. But then it was a business that you might necessarily have a passion for when you first started, but it got you to what you're really passionate about. And it's the things that you really care about, like relaxing, like your daughter, like being able to coach now and like train people, but on something that's a bit more sustainable. They won't burn out, as fast as well, too. I think that's very interesting. And I love you asked yourself some deep questions there. So this is really good because this is where like what we teach, profit first is really nothing new under the sun. It's like the 7 habits, put first things first, where you thought the passion for the thing that you did was the thing. But honestly, now you're using the thing of, the self storage to get you to what really matters, like, which is the real thing, which is that time with your, okay, I like
It's
this a lot.
so yeah. It's
This
so
has been
fun, and
awesome.
it's like, it's a refreshing take on it because I
Yeah.
feel like some people are so driven in, like, these monetary goals. It's like, if you just relaxed and sometimes it's just taking, like, a week, vacation with your family and journaling, or
Yeah.
if you don't have that time, it's getting up early and journaling every day, like, what do I feel called, to do? And sometimes it's not that, you go buy that business and then you have more time to go do what you really want, right?
Yeah.
And then you can somehow figure out creatively how can you implement the two. So like
Yeah.
I one other thing that I think is really neat is like I want to have teacher summers. Like I interned as a teacher because I was like, oh, 9 lives. Think I wanted that. It was awful. Oh my God. I'm so glad
Yeah.
I'm not a teacher with like,
Yep. Yep.
but I now am like I'm a coach, but I
Yeah.
get to have my goal is to have 6 to 8 week summers with my girl and travel in an RV to our storage facilities and
Yeah.
use that as like a way to like learn about real life and business. And so, I think very much intertwining like those two, and you really can, be multi-passionate and make money. And I think that
Yeah.
was something that, people don't talk about, just like, go make money, figure out where you want to make money, where it's like, well, hey, how can you reverse engineer and just be smarter, like profit first? And that's where you're going to find the most happiness and the most
Yeah.
fulfillment is when those two, like I said, Venn diagram, they collide.
Right. No, I
Yeah.
love that. And I love what you've done with this. Okay. So now that you've really reverse engineered your life and now you're teaching other people, like if this is the path, like if you like Bree's path, if you're tired of the burnout, you're tired of waking up every morning on that rat race, Bree, how do they get in touch with you? Like I know you teach this now and obviously you're a coach. So where can they go if they want more of Bree? Because I like Bree. Like honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, I did not Bree reached out to me randomly. I usually do not answer these emails for people that want to get on the podcast, but there was something different about Bree's email and just her personality. Now that I've interviewed her on this, I'm like, okay, how do I send people to you? Because I love your mindset and like the heart behind it. Like you're really helping people get to what they want and their why out of life. And you're just using self-storage as that tool. So
Love
that
it.
long-windedness, how do they get a hold of you? So like
Yeah.
what's the
If
site?
if you guys are interested in like wanting to buy your first facility, so that's why we created Self Storage School, is like having a community of people. It's stronger than will, right? And
Yeah.
jumping from, residential into commercial can be really scary. And so that's why like Self Storage School was founded. And so it's a 12-month program, live program, and we really walk you through like how do you find good hidden off-market deals? How do you analyze them, say yes or no or number? And then number three, like how do you put offers in? And then the fourth one that's important because it's a business is how do you operate it, right? How do you
Yeah.
increase that value? So if you're interested, if you actually go to selfstorageschool.com, or you can just send me a DM. This is my business number. If you send a DM, just say school to 916-579-7209. I will send the application, and then I'll also, just because I want to give your listeners something to use and that's actually
Yeah, for
helpful.
sure.
If you actually send me, school and then say offer, calculator, I'll send you guys a storage offer calculator and you can actually start to learn how to analyze a storage deal and understand like what is that offer range worth? Like, is that facility worth this amount or is it overpriced? Because a lot of these sellers, on some of these LoopNet and Crexy sites want stupid prices, right? So
Right.
don't make sure you buy it right, buy it right. You don't need to buy your first facility by yourself. Like definitely do it with like a group of people that can help you de-risk yourself and then make more money. So
Awesome. So
yeah.
selfstorageschool.com, or you can text her at that number. But I just think this is, if you're wanting something more out of life and if self-storage can help you get there, this is a good place to go. And you can already tell she knows her stuff. She's got that stuff for you to get started already. And if you need that extra hand holding, if you need that program, that's where you could go, selfstorageschool.com. Honestly, Bree, this has been awesome. I was not sure what to expect, and this blew my mind. So I'm like, this is really good stuff. I'm glad I've gotten to know you. Sounds like you've got your head on straight. You've got the priorities. You're putting the first things first, and then you're really using this business and this tool to help get you what you really want, which I really admire. So thanks for being a great guest. And if you're listening out there and you're like, you know what, this all sounds great, but I am like making money but feel broke. Where's all the money going? I need help. And you have no idea and you don't love the financial side, that's where you can reach out to us, simplecfo.com. Like, I want to make you feel safe. I want to help you. I want you to, if you're going to go out there and do self-storage, or if you're going to go out there and do any type of business, I want to make sure you're keeping it, but you have systems to keep it. So that way you can really buy your financial freedom. So that way you're using that money from whatever you're doing to be able to get what you want, just like Bree has done here, which has been so amazing. So Bree, again, thank you. Is there any last minute advice or couple sentences here that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Amazing. No, absolutely. Just bet on yourself. You can do it. And then definitely say hi if you come over to Instagram, just at Bree.theinvestor. That's me. You'll probably see my little girl, but I love saying hi to real people. Like, definitely come over and say hi. Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Thank you, Bree. And remember to make profit a habit in your business and not just an event. That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.